tenor solo, I was just making sure I had the right, just looking at the right sequence.
Yeah, you can't really go wrong. It's fine. Okay, let's,
Sweet.
It's an unbreakable
so, like,
It's C sharp.
oh, I'll let you play that.
Okay. And then, yeah, that goes straight into the legato D.
Okay.
So that.
So we're just gonna fake, I mean, not fake, but are we supposed to?
By the way, this cantor will read that, right? We'll call her. You hear that, guys?
Smalls acapella.
Is acapella.
All of them chanter. I have a whole other book of music.
That's way to get it turned out.
Well, let's look at Kol
I loved your harmony.
HaNeshama.
Beautiful.
Kelly, do you have another one of these?
Sounds so good.
So we're all looking at Kol the round, right? We're all looking at the round.
Gail, we're gonna get you a white.
What?
We're gonna get you a white mask.
Oh, you
You want to play during the silent prayer?
Well, Michael's got pink though. He's gonna be the
But it's
standout.
not black, just,
Yeah, well, black is kind of extra.
well, if I, you know, whatever.
Black is nice, it's just.
we have that.
Okay.
That way you know the next.
I don't know what.
Are there extras here?
Oh, I don't know.
Guys, listen,
Yeah.
listen to me.
He had a few extras.
We don't. I don't know.
Thank you.
Okay, right, you're listening, thank you, basses, you're listening, right?
Yep.
So after we sing the piece we just sang with Bill,
Yeah.
remember, we're not singing the abode and
then the sopranos.
But I heard now it's just men and women. That's what I thought we were doing.
No, that's not what we were.
That only adds up to two.
Right, I thought.
Yeah, okay, got it. Done. However, I have a suggestion also. We seem to be singing da, 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 da. I think it needs to be more melodic.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, so just remember, unison, and then two more times to the round form. Once you finish, keep saying,
Okay.
and we'll end it together. Nice. Okay, let's see. Anything else, Bill, that,
I have a question.
okay?
There was the one before we sang this little light of mine, and we skipped it, and I need to hear your entrance. Because you actually have a little thing you're doing before we come in. Let there be love.
Kol HaNeshama.
Yeah,
You mean
Hashkafan.
how we cut out and then right after that?
Okay.
No, there's not that one.
Okay. Got it. It's just when we're coming, it's just the two of us coming in, I want to know what he wants.
And we'll just follow Bill on
Piano
a
vamps.
couple of those,
Yeah.
who and how.
Let us know what's happening.
Any questions? Sounds great, thank you so much.
Thank you, David. Thank you.
Misha Vera,
Time for me to go to the bar.
This little glass of wine, I'm gonna let us.
Oh, that's right.
I had scotch at lunch.
Does count.
Yeah, and then we'll come in here.
I was area manager for a coffee company, so I was in sales.
This gets repeated.
And then I got a whole bunch of different. Second grade was awesome.
So for men first, right? That's
One, two. Oh. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yes. That's number 2. One, two. That's better. 1, 2. Check, check. Still a little hot, but it'll work.
Let's,
I got my drum set.
you do.
I got my rolling.
Bring it. Oh, yeah, you got
Kadosh Baruch Hu. Lochem Shalom Malachei HaShalom Malachei Elyon Melech Malchei HaMelachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Baruchuni l'shalom, malachei HaShalom, malachei Elyon. Melech malchei HaMelachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. HaKadosh Baruch Hu. May you enter peace, angels of peace, may God's Spirit may God sing the blessings of peace be with you tonight as our praises rise to God. As our praises rise to
Tzidkem l'shalom, malachei HaShalom, malachei Elyon. Melech malchei HaMelachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
HaKadosh
Well, we are in for a treat tonight. This Shabbat, which is the Shabbat when we read the Song at the Sea, the moment that the rabbis say perhaps was the very first moment the Israelites ever truly opened their voices in song. Overwhelmed by the majesty and power of what can happen in this world, they opened their voices. And the words that they sang echo into this very evening. And so throughout our evening, we will have particular musical sections, a particularly musical service that includes, of course, Bill Shafton on guitar, bringing his music this evening, and David York and the choir. David York, a critical part of our, I'll say it out loud, David, a critical part of our clergy team. The team that leads our community in prayer. And our choir, bringing their voices tonight to lifting up these words and our evening and bringing us into this holiday of Shabbat on wings of music, wings of prayer. This evening, we also celebrate Martin Luther King Shabbat. as Martin Luther King Day is celebrated on this weekend. And so we'll have some quotes and some of Martin Luther King's voice throughout our service, and the music as well, echoing the tradition of the churches that inspired the work that he led throughout our country. I do need to mention just a tiny bit of housekeeping before we continue. And that is that because of California protocols and because of the day that we are in, we are asking everyone who is here to please remain masked throughout the service. And that is, of course, to be masked over our mouths as well as our noses. And I'm sure that many of us are now looking at Cantor Cooper and I and saying, that's all fine and good, but we are not masked. Oh no, oh shoot. So we'll go get masks. No, just kidding. We both recently took COVID tests and tested negative, and so we are taking off our masks anytime we're up here, but we've cleared the first 2 rows as well as an additional precaution. I want to mention also that I want to welcome everyone who is joining us here in our sanctuary and everyone who is joining us in our extended sanctuary across the many homes of our community. Everyone online, we feel your presence here, and thank you for joining us in prayer this evening. I want to mention that there are a few different streams available. So there's a stream available on Facebook and a stream available on YouTube. I'll just mention as an aside that I don't think I ever thought that as a rabbi I would be saying Facebook and YouTube quite as often as it, but anyway, okay. Rabbi jokes. All right, so online you'll find these streams available on YouTube and Facebook, but if you go to tilb.org, the website, you'll find a link for our live stream, and it's a slightly higher quality stream. It also has a chat function that we'll be able to see. And as we get to the end of our service, when we offer our prayer for healing and our prayer for mourning, if there are names that you would like to add, you can add them on tilb.org. We'll be able to offer those names as well. Well, we have many different celebrations that we are offering tonight. Not just the music of this evening, not just this particular holiday of Shabbat and honoring that great figure so many years ago whose work is still important work today, but we welcome as well a young person as he takes his first steps as an adult in our community. And so as we begin our holiday of Shabbat, as we light the candles this evening, beginning this particular day, I'd like to call up Max and his family to help us light these candles. I'd like to call up just the immediate family as we begin this holiday of Shabbat. We continue on page 7 of our prayer books, calling to mind the transition from the week into this day of rest. Let's join together in this. Let's offer these words as one community on page 7. Where has this week vanished? Is it lost forever? Will I ever recover anything from it? The joy of life, the unexpected victory, the realized hope, the task accomplished. Will I ever be able to banish the memory of pain, the sting of defeat, the heaviness of boredom? On this day, let me keep for a while what must drift away. On this day, let me be free of the burdens that must return. On this day, Shabbat, abide. Help me to withdraw for a while from the flight of time, contain the retreat of the hours and days from the grasp of frantic life. Let me learn to pause, if only for this day. Let me find peace on this day. Let me enter into a quiet world this day. On this day, Shabbat, abide. Page 12. On page 20. We continue on page 20 with Lecha Dodi. Not at this point, but when we get to the last verse of our prayer, I'll invite all of us to rise and turn to the door through which we entered our sanctuary, welcoming Shabbat as if she were a bride here to join us on her wedding day. Page 28. As we praise the rolling out of the evening sky, the lights we find in the darkness, the stars that shine above, I offer these words from Martin Luther King. Darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can. Hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can. Continue on page 31. If you'd like to join in the Hebrew, I invite you. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bidvaro ma'ariv aravim, b'chochma poteach she'arim, uvidvuna meshane itim, umachalif et hazmanim, umisader et hakochabim, b'mishmeroteim berakia kirtzono, borei yom v'layla, golel or mipnei choshech, v'choshech mipnei or, uma'avir yom umevi layla, umavdil ben yom uven layla, Adonai tzevaot shemo, el chai v'kayam, tamid yimloch alenu leolam va'ed, baruch atah Adonai, hama'ariv, aravi.
Shall we drop back or cross over? Where shall our hearts turn? Shall we drop back or cross over? Change, and we stand quietly on the border of light. What lies before us? Shall we drop back? Cross over.
I have the audacity to believe that peoples everywhere can have 3 meals a day for their bodies, education and culture for their minds, and dignity, equality and freedom for their spirits. Page 32.
ונשמח בדברי תורתך ומצוותיך לעולם ועד. כי הם חיינו לאורך ימינו, ובכם נגי יומם ולילה, נגי יומם ולילה. ואהבתך אל תסיר ממנו לעולמים. ברוך אתה אדוני, אוהב עמו ישראל, אוהב עמו ישראל. שמע ישראל, אדוני אלוהינו, אדוני אחד. ברוך שם כבוד מלכותו לעולם ועד.
As we continue our Shema prayer, I'd like to call up Max to lead us in the V'ahavta. The rest of the congregation I'd like to invite to please be seated.
Avta, eight Adonai Elohecha, v'chol levacha, v'chol nafshecha, v'chol meodecha, v'hayu hadavarim ha'ele, asher anochi mitzavecha hayom olevavecha, v'shinantam levanecha, v'dibarta bam. Bishiftecha, v'leitecha, uv'leftecha, fadere, uv'shoftecha, uv'kumecha, leod, al yadecha, v'hayu letotafod, bein einecha, uv'chatam, amazuzot beitecha, uv'isharecha, leman tiskebru, v'asitem et kol mitzvotai, Kayem nefashim elchechem, ani Adonai Elohechem, asher hotzeit yetem ha'eretz Mitzrayim, lehot lehem lelohim, ani Adonai Elohechem.
Adonai Elohechem emet. That's awesome. So as the rabbi was mentioning earlier tonight, it's a really special weekend. It's Martin Luther King weekend, and it's also Shabbat Shira, which is the Shabbat of song. So it's a perfect time to have all these musical people here on this very special Shabbat. And on this special Shabbat, the Torah portion is Beshalach, and during that portion, this is when the sea splits, and you have this majestic moment, and everyone breaks out into song. And there's actually a very special melody, Shirat Hayam, the song of the sea, that we use when we chant this portion. And you're going to hear it beautifully sung tomorrow by Max, who worked very hard to learn this very special, special melody. And I found this Michamocha, I thought it was really special because it combines the words of Martin Luther King, the melody of We Shall Overcome, and the melody of Shirat Hayam, all in one piece. And it really represents this weekend with everything mixing together. And this was the moment when the Israelites were so happy to be free. But as we know, not everybody is free. And so this song, I think, really says everything that we're still yearning for in this world. And I just love the convergence of the song of freedom and Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s beautiful words. When your children witnessed your power, they extolled you and gave you thanks. And yet we, your children, still need to experience your redemptive power in the world. We need hope, and we need faith. In the words of Dr. King, with this faith, we will be able to hew out of the mountain of despair a stone of hope. With this faith, we will be able to transform the jangling discords of our nation into a beautiful symphony of brotherhood. With this faith, we will be able to work together, to pray together, to struggle together, to go to jail together, to stand up for freedom together, knowing that we all will be free one day. And when this happens, when we allow freedom to ring, when we let it ring from every village and every hamlet, from every state and every city, we will be able to speed up that day when all of God's children, black men and white men, Jews and Gentiles, Protestants and Catholics, will be able to join hands and sing in the words of the old Negro spiritual. Free at last, free at last. Thank God Almighty, we are free at last. Praised are you, O God, the Redeemer of us.
We continue on page 43.
Hashkivenu leshalom. Ve'ha'amitenu shomrenu lechaim. Ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu. Hashkivenu leshalom. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu. Hashkivenu leshalom. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu. Hashkivenu leshalom. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu. Hashkivenu leshalom.
Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our
Shelter from life's storms.
A note about our Amidah this evening. As is traditional, this evening we're going to do a little bit of a different Amidah than we sometimes do at Temple Israel. We'll begin our Amidah together, and then we'll continue it silently, letting for each of us find our individual prayers that we might find in the pages that follow, or other words that we might find in our hearts. The words that we begin our prayer service, this core, this center of our service with, actually come to us from King David, according to the tradition. The words, Adonai, open up my lips, and then I will be able to offer praise. Well, the story goes in the rabbinic literature that this was said by David after he had lost someone dear to him. Right after the loss of a family member, he couldn't speak at all. And it wasn't until the people around him came to him and said, "You need to speak, you need to eat," that he finally opened up his lips and said, "I need help. Adonai, God, if you open my lips, then I will be able to speak." Well, I think it's very telling that we took these same words and placed them in our service. When we come together, we need a minyan. We need a community for these words. And so it is with one another that we lift ourselves up and offer these words this evening. I'd like to invite us to turn to page 46 of our prayer books and rise in body or in spirit.
Adonai, Svatai Tiftach, Ufi Agid Tehilatecha. Adonai, Svatai Tiftach, Ufi Agid Tehilatecha. Open my lips, that my mouth may declare your glory.
Ufi agitehi Our thoughts now turn to those in our community who are in need of healing. We know that that is a healing of the body or a healing of the mind, a healing of the spirit or the soul. And if you look to your handout, you'll see the list of all of those in our community who are in need of healing. If you are joining us online, I invite you to place the names of those you are thinking of in the chat now. And those that we have added to our list in this week, those who we are holding in our hearts: Karen Kalichman, Kurt Charipper, David Phillips, Michelle Vidone, Ernie Gruwetsky, Jeffrey Singer, and Adrian Bard. If you are here in our sanctuary and there is someone that you are thinking of, you'd like to share their name aloud so that we can all hold that person in our hearts, I invite you to do so as my eyes meet yours.
Joe Friedman and David Mann.
We additionally think of Joel Beasy, Peter Prupas and Gail Prupas, Sally Perlman, Barry Perlman, Olivia Escoboza, Jeff Kohlberg, Linda Lord, Michelle Dunn, Raul Almada, Lori Spiegel, Amaya Hernandez, Joanne Schneider-Ferris. Join together for the words of the Mourner's Kaddish on page 253 of our prayer books. I'm sorry, Misha Berach. Apologize. As we continue with our evening this evening, we're going to, in just a moment, offer the words of Aleinu. But as this is our second Friday of the month, we promised to bring a few new ideas, some different and alternative things for this particular service. And we wanted to draw from the well of tradition in the Hasidic community, where the practice of chanting can take an entire evening. It can be a deeply meaningful experience. And so we're not going to spend the entire evening chanting. They'll spend many hours. We'll not spend quite as long. But we wanted to bring some of that chanting into our evening. As a part of the prayer that we are about to offer, there is the message and the theme of oneness. A lot of discussion has come up around what exactly this means, but above all of them is the idea of peace, of everyone feeling so deeply connected that we no longer find ourselves anywhere in this world at conflict, and the words ein od milvado, which is usually translated as there is nothing but God, can also be that there is nothing but each of us, this deepened sense of interconnectedness. And so, for our prayer for Aleinu, you'll notice that we're gonna stop kind of partway through the section that we are used to doing together, and we'll offer these words ein od milvado. Now, to bring us into this particular prayer, I have words from another one of our teachers, the teacher that we have been honoring this evening, Martin Luther King. He once said, "I believe that unarmed truth and unconditional love will have the final word in reality. This is why right, temporarily defeated, is stronger than evil triumphant." I invite us to join together on page 282 of our prayer books, page 282, and let us rise in body or in spirit.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גאולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כעם, וגור עלינו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. Adonai, hu Elohim. Einod, milvado Einod, milvado Adonai, hu Elohim. Einod, milvado Einod, milvado Adonai, Elohim. Einod, milvado Einod, milvado Adonai, hu Elohim.
Our thoughts now turn to those in our community who have died in recent days or in this season in years past. So I'd like to invite, if you are joining us online, to place the names of those that you are thinking of in the chat at tilb.org. And together, our hearts go out to those who are observing Shiva and Shloshim, the 7 days and the 30 days after the death of someone near to them. And so we think of those near to Cy Alban. We think of Riva and Bob, Jeannie and Jerry, Jill and Joseph, John and Julie, Bill, Deepa, Lorraine, Jared, Keenan, Simeon, and Joseph. And we think of those near to Gerald, Alan, Korbatsky. We think of Andrea and Jeff and Shayna. And we think of those near to Arthur Schneider. We think of Joanne and Dan and Joel and Rebecca and Annabelle. We think of those near to Debbie Siegel. We think of Susie and John and Jack. And we think of those near to Bernie Eisenstein. We think of Karen and Eric and Stella and Jacob. This evening, we additionally mark the art site, the anniversary of the death of George Albert, Irving Axel, Harold Bernstein, Irving Blatt, Lena Butler, Edward Cameron, Stephen Eagle, Ted Ellis, Jack Friedman, Rosa Glazer, Joan Gordon, Don Gordon, Francis Gundry, Rosalind Hurst, Nathan Isaacson, Larry Leonardo, Isaac Levin, Rosa Martinez, Bennett Olens, Ralph Polsky, Harold Pottybaum, David Rumi, Inez Sasson, Arlene Solomon, Ida Spiegel, Ann Stedman, Michael Strock, Max Wasotsky, Melvin Witkin, and Sarah Zimmerman. If you are here in our sanctuary and are thinking of someone this particular Shabbat, I invite you to share their name as my eyes pass across our sanctuary. We add these names and those that are in our heart. Barbara Shipnuck, beloved president of our local National Council of Jewish Women in Long Beach. Shelley Burgum, Dean Smirnoff, Ida Haith, Randy Karp, Bernard Dolbarg, Arthur Schneider, and Jack Spiegel. I invite us to turn to page 294 for the words of the Mourner's Kaddish. Yitgadal, v'yitkadash shemei Rabba, v'yamad yivarach yirteh v'yamlich malchuteh, v'chayechon uvyomechon uvchayedecho beit Yisrael, v'agala ubizman kariv v'imru, amen. Yehei shmei Rabba mevorach leolam u'me'el maya, Yitbarach, v'yishtabach, v'yitpa'ar, v'yitramam, v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar, v'yitaleh, v'yitalal, shemei dekudisha barichu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata. Tushbechata v'nechamata. Damiran be'alma v'imru, amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya. V'chaim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael. V'imru, amen. V'aseh shalom b'mamav. Hu ya'aseh shalom. Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael. V'al kol yoshvei tevel. V'imru, amen. Zichronam livracha, may the memories of those near to us always be a source of blessing. I invite us together to say, amen. Well, I'd like to invite everyone to please be seated. We have a lot of different things that are going on in our community this coming week, and so I'd like to invite up a member of our board of directors to offer some announcements this evening, Lori Arroyo.
Shalom, everyone. So, I'm not sure exactly where to start. What I am all the announcements that I'm going to be reading are a testament to the community that we have here. That it's us doing things for ourselves and each other. And so the choir tonight, it's so wonderful that I know that several people have been requesting that the choir participate in a meaningful way that's not just the High Holy Days. And our lovely cantor made it happen, but it's all of us working to make things happen, suggesting what we want to do, and then doing it together. And I also want to congratulate Max and his entire family, Mazel Tov. And speaking of the community working together, the Alban family is such an important part of our community, and my deepest condolences. So, on Saturday mornings, we have Torah study. It meets both in person and on Zoom, begins at 8:45 a.m., and tomorrow's class, as are most of them, will be led by Rabbi Fox. Tomorrow's Shabbat morning services begin at 10:30, and we'll be celebrating the bar mitzvah of Max Angerman. It says here, Mazel Tov. Our Joys of Jewish Learning program has many offerings this week, so look to see if there's something of interest to you. You can, on our website, tilb.org, there's a listing. listings. On Monday morning at 9:45, there's the class New Testament Study from a Jewish Perspective. Every other Wednesday, our JJL's Social Justice Book Group meets. They are currently discussing Ariel Samson, Freelance Rabbi. On Wednesdays at 7 p.m., we have our Introduction to Judaism led by Rabbi Fox and Rabbi Michal Loving. Our Tanakh study group meets every Thursday at 10:15 a.m. If you would like to participate, contact Martine Korak. And if that's not enough, other programs or meetings of interest include our Men's Minyan Discussion Group, which meets every Tuesday at 9:30 a.m. Contact Al and Lillian. On Thursdays at 7:30 a.m., we have a meditative morning Minyan experience with Mr. Bill Shafton. That's on Zoom. And on Friday, January 28th, which is, I think, in 2 weeks, we'll be holding our next Got Shabbat service. Join us in person or online. But wherever you join us, give yourself room to get up and dance. The temple office will be closed on Monday in observance of Martin Luther King Jr. Day. And if you ever have a question about how to attend one of our classes or programs, look for our emails or call the temple office, and our staff is happy to help you. And then I want to add one more thing. I'm taking a little liberty, I hope. So not only is this weekend, it's Martin Luther King Day, and it's Shabbat Shira, and it's Tu B'Shvat, and this is a year of Shemitah, the 7th year, the year of letting go, of debt forgiveness, and letting the land lie fallow. So the coincidence of Martin Luther King Day and Tu B'Shvat falling within the same 24 hours, it's that we have this Luna Soul coincidence. It is my wish that this Luna Soul coincidence, falling in the year of Shemitah, may lead us to a real letting go. That going forward, we who have benefited from practices that led to ecological devastation should be willing to let go of those parts of our lifestyles that come at the expense of both the planet and all its inhabitants. Shabbat Shalom.
Amen, amen. What true words for this particular Shabbat as we mark this Shemitah year, as we celebrate the birthday of the trees and look out to this world knowing the gifts that we have received and the work that we need to do to sustain it. We have a closing song for this evening that I think holds on to that inspiration and invites us to find the strength for that work in each and every one of us, echoing from movements that have changed our country in the past, reminding us that that same sustainable work, that same change can happen today as well. Well, we have one last bit of shining, one last bit of sweetness for this evening. I'd like to call Max and his family back up to the front of our sanctuary this evening as we celebrate with a little bit of sweetness, a little bit of Kiddush. I hope that you'll all join in with us for the blessing.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, borei pari hagafen.
L'chaim.
Take your mask off for that. Yeah, first. Oh, all right. Drinking full from the cup. All right, I could take that. Go ahead and take this. We'll join together for our blessing over our challah as well.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz.
Te'avon, Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Shabbat Shalom.
Thank the choir. Thank you so much. Thank you, Bill. Thank you, David York, and all of the extra rehearsals and all the hours. And thank you to Paul Levitt, who at the very last minute came in and got everybody mics so that everybody at home could hear the choir and has stayed and blended everything. So thank you all so, so, so much. Yay.
Great job, Bill. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah.